Okay, Dreamer, please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be checking out Castle Rush with Daya, and not only are we looking at one team, we are going to look at three teams together. I will talk about each team separately, so just listen through, and I know there's a lot to focus on, but don't worry, I will guide you through everything, okay? So for the first team, it's the Daya and Velika team. For the Velika team, I have Velika, Regenlave, Yuri, Daya, and Fenrir. Fenrir for lethal rate increase, Velika's my DPS, Regenlave for healing if necessary, as well as block rate decrease, Yuri for damage increase, and also defense of the enemy decrease. Okay, so the role of Daya in the Velika team is pretty significant, okay? She increases magic attack by 50%, which means she will buff Velika's damage output overall. She also increases allies damage dealt to universal enemies, which means Velika's output is going to increase even more as well. So I was expecting a lot from Daya in the Velika team because ultimately, you know, this is pretty much an area where she can really benefit Velika. And previously, when we were running Velika teams, Velika was very weak, okay, compared to Mei, okay. I think I was hoping that Daya was going to bring something new here. Next, we have the Daya and Mei team. For the Daya and Mei team, I have Mei called Fenrir, Daya, and Yuri. Okay, so it's kind of similar to the bottom team, which is the Regenlave team, whereby I only swapped out Regenlave for Daya, and yeah, I wanted to see how things go, because ultimately Daya is going to allow me to do more damage to the enemy, which is Chris in this case, which is who is a universal enemy. So I should be dealing more damage to Chris, okay? So how the entire strategy works is the same. For the first few moments in Castle Rush, you do not do anything at all, okay? Wait till Rook casts his shield, and then you proceed to use Daya's skill. If you have the bottom team will use Cult skill, basically just remove the shield and cast the debuff from Yuri's bottom skill. Once you have done that, you will continue to spam with your DPS and also proceed to use any necessary buffs if you need. Okay, so which the buffs will include, if you're using Velika, you will use Velika's top skill to buff single target damage, and also use Fenrir's top skill to buff crit and lethal damage for your DPS. Okay, so as I mentioned, the benefits of Daya will include increasing damage done to Chris, as well as increasing a magic DPS's damage, which in this case will be Velika only. If you encounter too much damage from the boss himself, you can use Yuri's top skill, and that will actually reduce the damage, reduce the attack of the boss, and in this case you will be receiving less damage and you will have an easier time in Castle Rush overall. Okay, so the pros and cons of Daya and the Velika team now. I feel that there's definitely a little bit of improvement, whereby I can see more damage from Velika. And the thing is, of course, I've given Velika Reset Awaken skill as well, so she will definitely be able to increase her score compared to, you know, when she's not using it. And as you saw just a little while ago, her Awaken skill did about 430,000. Okay, that is pretty decent. Ultimately, if you can cast 2 of that, then you will be getting, you know, already 860,000 thereabouts already, which is very close to 1 million, and that's a pretty decent score. Of course, if you have Reset Awaken skill on Yuri, that's even better because Yuri can help to buff the damage from Velika. Now for the Mei and Daya team, overall I also do see an increase in damage from Mei, but the thing is, without without Regenlave, the damage is very inconsistent, because as we know, Regenlave actually provides the block rate decrease. This is evident in the Daya and Velika team in the top left corner, right? Because Regenlave is in the magic team. But in the top right corner, where I'm using Daya and Mei, I don't have Regenlave, and because the battle is so long, I am not able to enjoy that reduction in block rate by 100%. And in that case, my damage is extremely inconsistent. Sometimes I get blocked, which means my damage is heavily reduced. Now, if my damage can be more consistent, and if I do have Daya on the team, I will really think that this will be the best team. Okay, but we'll compare the scores later on as the run goes on. So the thing about the Daya and Velika team, you might think that, okay, Velika has gotten a very big boost in damage output, so she should be on par with Mei right now. But the thing is, because you do not have guild buffs in Castle Rush, which means skill cooldown is actually a very big factor, and in this case, Velika only has one usable skill. So if that skill is on cooldown, you're gonna wait the entire duration until she is ready for that next skill. Which means overall, even though I have Reginlave, I have Daya, Velika's skill frequency is actually not too fast, right? And her damage itself from that bottom skill is not exactly very strong as well compared to what Mei has on her bottom skill. Which means, overall, the damage output is going to be a little weaker, and it's almost comparable to what we had for Shane. So that is why when Shane existed before Mei, people were using magic teams and offensive teams for Castle Rush. It was a possibility. But right now, I feel that the Mei team is overall the much stronger team, especially when Mei has two skills that which you can toggle with, and especially with an constantly resetting awaken skill, you technically have 3 skills to play around with. So without a doubt, I think Mei is definitely going to be the better DPS for Castle Rush in the long run. Okay, and in this case, because we are using Daya, we are not using Seek. Now if you are using Seek, then things may be a little different, because for Seek, you can reset awaken skill. That's one thing, which means you can probably get up to 4. You can get up to 4 awaken skills from Velika, and that will make a huge deal. With Seek, you also get increased skill cooldown if you intend to let him counter and reduce cooldown, which means Velika is gonna use the bottom skill a lot more as well. But of course, in this case, you don't get to enjoy Daya's 50% magic attack increase, and you don't get to have the increased damage on universal enemies. So that is overall a very big factor. And with limited heroes, with only 5 men, you can only use 5 heroes right now. So you have to really think carefully which is the best combination for you to go with, if you do intend to stick with the Velika team for Castle Rush, which I of course don't recommend. Yeah, so I do believe that the Mei team is still the better team, and everything will be reviewed later on as we proceed towards the end. As you can see, there is still about 1 minute left on the clock for Castle Rush, and I hope that, with a comparison like that, I know that, it's a little difficult for you to focus on one small part of the screen and just to see what's going on. But I hope that with this commentary and evaluation overall, you guys have a clearer idea of what is actually happening, and with the evaluation, all you need to take in is the essence of the team. Yeah. I tested these 3 teams back to back, so that's why you will see very different scores. And I tested the Velika team first, with the Mei and Daya team second, and then the last team was the Reginlave and Mei team. So yeah, so that explains the crazy score just for one Castle Rush for that day. I actually recorded this a week ago, but it was too late to be released, so I kept it for a week. And of course, just in time, today is the Chris Castle Rush again. So you will see that for the Velika team, the score is about 2.6 million. The Mei and Daya team 4 million, and then the Mei and Reginlave team 4.5 million, almost 5 million. So I think it is very clear which is the better team to use, okay, even with Daya. And you will see that without Reginlave, the score is actually pretty close, right? If you have good RNG and your crit and lethal land, to be honest, the Daya team with Mei is actually the better team. But the damage is just so inconsistent that Reginlave prevails. So I'm going to go through the equipment. For Velika, I use crit and lethal because I don't have guild buffs, so you have to make sure that your crit and lethal for your DPS is at 100%. Double HP gear doesn't have to be too good because you want to make use of the Berserker Ring. And then for her standard PvE jewels. In this case, I use PvE skill cooldown instead of increase awakening gauge because ultimately it's a very long battle. They are not going to reduce your awakening gauge Or rather, even if Chris does, Velika is immune to reduction in Awakening Gauge, so you can use skill cooldown instead. Regent Leif here, double HP, lethal and crit as well to boost the amount of healing that she can do if you do need the healing. Physical attack, a magic attack increase for PvE. And then for Yuri, HP armor, Willful Ring, and defensive jewels as a very basic thing. Of course, for your frontline and all your heroes, you want Death Resist because Chris does land Death, so Death Resist is very important. Fenrir, HP armor, defensive jewels. In this case, I didn't give him the Willful Ring, but Berserker Ring, but it's totally fine because he does have self-regeneration. So in this case, it's okay to give him Berserker Ring, he won't die at all. Finally, for Daya, HP armor, the rest are kind of like a PvP build, but defensive jewels and Willful Ring is gonna be helpful for her. Next up, we have the Mei team. For Mei, same thing, speed, okay, speed, because she does have increasing crit rate on herself, so all you need to do is make sure you do have Fenrir on the field, and with Fenrir, 50% with her exclusive item, Mei's exclusive item, and with my PvE jewel here, which increases lethal rate by 16% also, I can assure that her lethal rate is above 100%, and then also increase damage on universal enemies. For Cult, HP armor, defensive jewels, and Willful Ring as well. Same goes for the rest, Fenrir, Yuri has the same gear, and then in this case Daya as well. And Regent Leif is also going to be using the same gear as the previous magic team. So yeah, that's all I have for this video for Castle Rush comparison, and I hope it was helpful in letting you decide which team is actually better for Castle Rush. And big shout out to my channel members ZMD Phoenix and the Mocha Cafe for their support. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you so much and see you!